Okay. Obviously, it feels good to get back in the win column. As I told you last Monday, I felt like our team is in a better place. Trying to get some guys healthy, coming off the bye, playing a non-SEC school, getting a victory. Now, we're trying to go 2-0 in that last third of the season, just trying to finish strong. And we need to play our best football of the year, obviously, again, another great opportunity, another great challenge going into Texas. Coach Sark got them playing at a very high level, a very good football team that he's been building for some time. I think, it's evident they have a lot of continuity. And I think it's the only Power 4 school in the country that's had the same offensive coordinator, same head coach, and same defensive coordinator. So they have continuity, and it shows both in their recruiting and the portal, the additions that they got in the portal, especially offensively. Look at their wideouts. A couple guys they got are added to a dynamic wide receiver group. But just a good football team, top to bottom. Obviously, with play calling, very creative, very good, very well coached in all areas. And for us, again, I feel like we got to build on where we're at, getting healthy, the last part of the season, coming off the bye. I think we're in a good place. For us, the challenge has been consistency. It's not been competitiveness. We've been competitive against some of the best teams in the country. We just have to be more consistent. That's what we're striving to do, and we're striving to give them our best shot and play our best ball. And that's what we're looking to do, to build on that and have a great week and go in there and let it eat, let it rip, and play another great team in a great environment. That'll be another big challenge, but it's another big opportunity as well.
You mentioned it, Mark. This will be the fourth kind of playoff contender you played. In the previous 3 games, you had a chance to take the lead in the fourth quarter. You did it all Miss. So can you explain why they've stepped up, or how you got them to step up?
I think it's the consistency. I think you're right in. There's no excuses in our area of the kind of the inconsistency. Look at our league, and I bet you there's not one news conference where they haven't had to answer that question. If you think about it, right? You know what I mean? The total, the totality of what you go through in this league is hard, and it drains you, and that's why there's ups and downs, and you see it. You saw Kirby. Talking about it. I mean, they've had a brutal schedule. It is very difficult to play at the level that they played last Saturday every Saturday. I don't care if you're those guys, and they're beasts. I mean, they're great. And there's a lot of really good teams in this league, and as coaches, we feel that frustration. And to each of us, to myself, I'm just worried about our team and our fan base and our group. I understand the frustration of, again, inconsistency. It's a challenge. It's hard. We need to worry about our team and our, what we're doing and how how we build this team and what we do to move forward, and how we, have the depth that you need to play at that level, because, it takes extremely intense preparation and, a really good plan, and then guys playing extremely hard and then executing, and playing at a high level.
Mark, did you take anything from Arkansas playing really well on Saturday? I know Arkansas is a good team too. They knocked off Tennessee, but are you kind of identifying some weaknesses that you could exploit?
I mean, there's no weaknesses on this team. But the eye test, they're as strong as anybody in the country. Tell me one group. I mean, you look at them offensively. A dynamic play caller and a great coach. O-line is completely solid. Running backs, 2 great ones, probably more. 4, you know what I mean? But wide receiver room, arguably the best in the country. Dynamic tight ends. Defensively, front 4. They lost some guys that were pros, replaced them in the portal with pros. Really deep, really big. I'd say, arguably, again, the best secondary in the country, with it, bar none. And, you put that together, a pretty solid team.
Mark, you and Sark go back to your Pac-12 days.
Yeah.
When you think about his offense, what are the characteristics of a Sarkeesian offense?
Yeah, creative. Creative. You hear the word, eye candy's probably thrown a lot around, in press conferences across the country, but dynamic, getting you. He does a great job of marrying the run and the pass. And then a fantastic job in the screen game off all of that. So you're thinking run, you're thinking play action pass, come back to a screen. And he ties it together as good as anybody.
Mark, let us know that DJ's out for the year. You rotated a lot of guys in Smith.
Yeah, I think we paid 34 guys on defense. I'm not sure we've ever done that.
So how did those young linebackers perform in their first extended reps?
They did a good job. I mean, they did. It was nice to see them get some reps. A guy like Grant and Javion and just all those guys. I mean, just seeing them get some reps. I mean, it was good, and they needed that, and it was good for them. As a group, I've been telling you, without singling out guys, that I just think it's a good young group across the board on both sides of the ball, and it was good to see them get some snaps.
Can that be kind of this opportunity late in the season to be a springboard for the future?
Yeah, I'd like it to be. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, we're looking, as I mentioned off the bye, that I want to finish strong. The last third of the season, we have a third of the season when I talked to you about that, and I told the team we're 1-0 off that reboot, and then we got another great challenge ahead of us here. But absolutely, I'm always looking to make sure the program's moving forward and the needs that we have, and the areas of concern, and then and making sure we're getting a look at the young players. Again, there's no mystery, and I know everybody's talking about the quarterback position, and you look at Cutter, and the first time he really was under center with getting a lot of practice reps with the ones and the twos and being prepared for that opportunity and making the most of it. So a lot to build on there. But Brock will be under center, and Brock has given us a chance to we went on the road and beat a playoff team, and had an opportunity in some others like you had just mentioned, and so Brock's done some really good things as well, and but we will absolutely continue to have Cutter ready and get him those first, second team reps and just get him ready and keep on developing him, and we certainly like what we saw in one half of football, but again, Brock has done some really good things in some really, really tough, hostile environments to put us in a position to win as well.
What did the film and your conversation with Brock say about those first two passes that were so bad?
Again, I knew it right on the field. Like in the film confirmed it. I mean, it was indecision. It was not clean in being on the same, with a freshman wide receiver. You know what I mean? And not defending the pass either. You know what I mean? Especially the second one. You know what I mean? But he expected the receiver to rip it across his face. There was nobody there to cap it. The post was there. And by that time it's late, and you probably try to get a lot extra, and your footwork's bad, and it just comes out worse than it is.
When you looked at the film of Cutter, anything surprise you on tape that you hadn't seen before in practice?
Did not surprise me, but it was really good to confirm that and see that in live action, because as you've heard me talk about it, we've discussed it. It's really hard to simulate that in practice, and and so for him, completely live on a quarterback, that's hard. We don't do that in practice, even in spring games or anything, so for him to get in the game and go completely live, for him, it was really nice to see that poise and just him operate and distribute the football and just looked very comfortable.
Is Joe Mincy out for?
Yeah, he's out for an extended period of time with an injury.
Mark, speaking of lines, you're just talking about Texas talent. They've got the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week and Defensive Lineman of the Week. Can you talk a little bit about the challenge for your lines, given all the moving parts you've had to deal with this year?
Yeah. There's no doubt, like I said, as I mentioned, I don't think I need to build up Texas, I think it's pretty evident. They passed the eye test, and so they're just, Sark's done a really nice job of building a really complete football team. And it starts up front. We all know that in this league. He says it, and I say it, and everybody says it, and but they're really good around those lines as well. But it starts up front, and he made sure, even from day one, I remember the emphasis that he put on building an O-line, and that's evident right now. And then defensively, same thing. He has good depth. They have really good size. Again, they lost, a couple NFL players and went to the portal and got a couple more NFL players. And then the young guys that they have and the depth that they have, pretty good, pretty impressive.
It's a new opponent, and how much does that change for you all in general, going away from the divisions and playing the kind of same 6-7 teams you used to play every single year?
Going away from that, you're saying?
Yeah, you're going away from the kind of usual suspects to.
Yeah, I mean, it's very random, and some people got the short end of the stick this year on certain draws, and and some people didn't, and that's everybody, and then we'll play the same next year, just rotate it. But to us, I mean, it is a completely new opponent. But it doesn't change our approach really at all. As college football and college sports, the turnover's very dramatic year to year, and so our kids, it's another opponent, very good one we have a lot of respect for, but we've played in very challenging environments. I think you've been there, right, this year. I mean, you saw some of those venues, and this will be another great one.
Trying to remember this environment in particular. Have you been?
I have not. No, never been.
Coach, you have an obvious love for the game. I'm just curious. Sorry.
I think so. No. Sorry.
You have an obvious love for the game. I'm just curious, like your thoughts growing up. Do you remember a first Texas memory or anything?
No, just not as a child or anything growing up like that. But obviously, I could go back to when did Bob get to OU? 99, something like that. So obviously was pretty dialed in from 99 on. Just with the big rivalry with Oklahoma and Texas, and that's when I obviously. I think you could pretty safe to say the Stoops family was pretty tuned into that game each and every year, and so it was a pretty big game for both teams. But that's when I probably really started watching them closely.
Mark, what did you feel about those backup offensive linemen that you got in on Saturday for an extended time for the first time?
Some of them, I think. Nothing, we probably didn't expect. Some I think we think are going to be really good players, just with some time and reps, and then, some others struggled a little bit. And it's something that we'll address.
Mark, you've been in this business for a long time as both as an assistant coach and a head coach, obviously. Do you still get a little excited about going into a new place like this, especially one of the football blue bloods like Texas?
Yeah, I do get excited about it, and I hope our team does. And that's something that I hope our team, that I have to talk to about is like, let's dial in on our preparation. And you hear me say that a lot, but it's very true, because I hope they're excited to go to, embrace this great challenge we have, but what an opportunity, and it does start with being excited today and tomorrow and Wednesday, and just putting if you don't do that work, you have no chance.
Going back to last season, ending in Louisville, you guys are 2-2 against top 10 teams. Had some success there. Is that something you guys are looking to build on going into this? Obviously, in the last 3 road games, you're 2-1. Is that something you guys even talk about in the room to really build confidence?
Well, you just talk about it in that that we can do it. You know what I mean? Being competitive, again, hasn't been our problem. Being consistent has been our problem. And so we know we can be competitive, and so that's the part I'll talk about, not in particular any game or any of that. It's just our players know what we're capable of. We just we need to do that, and we got to have our best shot of the year.
What have you seen from Nichols, your defensive back, who's gotten on the team?
I think he's going to be a really good player, good player, good young guy, true freshman. He's gotten a lot of reps and fought through some injury and, doesn't blink and just continues to go out there and play hard.
Does he check have another year if he wants? It's hard to keep track of.
Yeah, I believe he could. That was never in the plan. I'll talk with him afterwards, and he's given us everything he has, and we appreciate it. I really appreciate him and his leadership and his toughness. He's been a really steady guy for us. So it's disappointing that he had to have season-ending surgery, but I just wish the best for him, and I'm letting him heal up a little bit, and then we'll have some conversations. There's a whole roster that, as you know, that we have to go through and have some discussions with.
Somebody asked you last week about, how early do you have to start thinking about roster management? Now that we're getting towards the end of the year, the roster is also the coaching staff, so when coaches' names are getting, assistants are getting thrown around for other jobs, do you talk with them? How does that process look like on your end in preparing if there is moves and you've got to make moves?
You always, of course, roster management really never ends. We evaluate our own team. If we go back to camp, we're evaluating our guys and having meetings and discussing it, all year. Is this player going to be ready later this year? Is he going to be ready the following year? And you've seen development at this place that some guys have done some special things after years, right? And nowadays, that's just a different practice. With the second part of that, with anticipating those moves and talking about those moves, always trying to stay one step ahead. You know what I mean, with all of that. But it's a part of it. I would certainly love to have some continuity, like we've had great defensive continuity. Offensively, I'm excited, and hope, to keep that consistency, build on the good things that we have. Again, I think you saw a spark in a young quarterback, and, I'd love to have several, all of our quarterbacks back and have that continuity and build on things and, across the board. So, it's just always a moving piece, it's very much always a moving part.
Mark, you were talking about your O-line earlier. Your best teams have had really solid O-lines and played together. And now with the portal so much in play, you mentioned that earlier, with a door that swings both ways, do you think you can ever get back to building the way you built some of those better offenses?
I think you can. I think, for us, and everybody, there is a balance of still recruiting high school high school players and supplementing them with the portal. Some years you may need to go to others. Again, you're sitting here talking about Texas and Sark and his coordinators being there for 4 years, and they do a phenomenal job in a hotbed of recruiting talent at a place that a lot of people want to go to, and they're fantastic, but they still have to supplement it with portal guys. That's Texas. Their wide receiver room, I think their top 2 receivers are portal guys. And, on the D-line, they got some, really, good players there, and they recruit well. And I think I saw an article, you don't quote me exactly, but I think the number 1 team in the country has 14 portal starters. If I'm not mistaken. I thought I read that. Again, that's just something that, oh, by the way. You know what I mean? Just, again, information that you're like, okay.
Talk a little bit about Josiah Hayes and what he brings to you guys the last 3 games of the year, getting him back.
Well, I was really happy, number 1, to see him out there. He's been practicing and just, I've been trying to pat him on the back and, keep him engaged because, that's a tough injury and he's really worked hard, and it was really good to see him back out there. And really, for the first time, he looked close to himself, at least, that was good because, again, that injury, playing that position and pushing off and the power that you have to have, is tough sometimes and tough to trust it, but it was great to have him back out there.
Massive portal classes are basically everywhere now, but there is a difference between just signing a bunch and finding the right ones.
Yeah.
How do you evaluate how you've done that in the past, and do you change what you're looking for in portal guys?
That's not different than high school guys either. I mean, the difference is maybe in high school, in the old days, we used to have a lot more time to figure out, like to get to know these guys. Well, with the way they changed the rules and the way it is now, it's really, I mean, you do as much homework as you can, you know what I mean, behind the scenes with all that. But we're dealing with 100 players, you know what I mean? So I think building your culture, developing your culture and who you are and defining that, we have to do that. We've talked about that, expediting that process and everything else. But, let's be honest. I mean, you get the best players you can. Money helps.
I think you mentioned on one of your radio shows here recently that the offensive line in particular has become a big challenge for everybody in the portal.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Every scout that comes in here, for the NFL, every one of them are looking for offensive linemen. Every single team, is looking for guys that can play in the NFL, whether they're a starter or a backup or a guy, bringing camp. I mean, and I think it's fair. There's a lot of college teams making sure we're looking for offensive linemen too, and again, there's some really great teams in our league that are having to answer the same questions that I answer. So it's we just got to continue to work at it and get back confident we could get back to, having that identity that we want.
On the money side of it, do you have a feel yet for how the revenue sharing stuff is going to help?
We're working.
Especially for smaller school guys who are not getting.
Yeah, we're working through it. I think there's a lot of unknowns. That's coming not till July, and I think we're just working our way through that, and feel like getting a bit more clarity, little by little as we move forward.
Mark, could you build on a little bit the decision to start Brock? I know Cutter played well, but you took a moment on Saturday to kind of slow down the Cutter hype a little bit. You praised him, but you said, the fans are going to get excited, but you praised Brock as well. Was there ever a thought to start Cutter this Saturday, or is he just not ready for that?
It is what it is right now, and Brock's our starting quarterback, and he's earned it, and he's worked his tail off, and Cutter's a very talented young player that we're excited about, and the reason I said that because it's like that at every position, but everybody wants to over exaggerate the quarterback position.
How do you evaluate his play? Yeah, you said it's a 1AA team. So does that make it a little bit tougher to evaluate his performance? How he looked great, but it was FCS.
Well, as I just said, I already commented on that. I thought he looked really good. I thought he made really good decisions. I thought he looked comfortable, and he has a lot of talent. And, those are things we saw in practice and in games. It's good to see him get some game reps. I think we all know it's a little different with playing the team that we just played at home or, playing one of the other SEC schools on the road. You've heard every SEC coach talk about the challenges of the road in the SEC. I think everybody's talked about it.
Back to the offensive lineman for a minute. Is there more of a premium on getting good offensive linemen now? And is that going up? And if so, why do you think that is?
Well, why I think that is because I think it's a little bit getting more and more, the SEC is a little closer to the NFL where there's so many dynamic rushers. There's so many good defensive players. They're so big and so strong that it will expose you. And again, look around. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying we're never we need to be or anything, but look around the league. Some of these dudes are hard to block. And if you watch NFL games, you see that all the time. The difference is they're really elite and have the NFL that they are definitely getting rid of the ball quick. That ball has to come out, for the most part.
Mark, you talk about the offense. Are there not as many really good offensive linemen being produced by high schools, or is it harder to
I don't know.
transition harder?
I don't know. I'm not ready to, I haven't had the time or to put that kind of level of deep dive into that. We're just trying to get ours, and trying to get some good ones and so. But I do think that's a fair question as far as I said the other part of it, with how many good defense players there are in this league. That's, yeah.
Mark, you talked on the radio after the game about Schultz's interception, you thought, you knew he could go get it. Your sideline exploded
Yeah.
when he made that play. What does that say about the mental state of your team right now and the fact that they're still taking joy in moments like that and what's been a tough season?
Yeah, it's a tough season, but again, I felt like, our guys have always played hard. I mean, even prior to the bye, when we were really in a challenging position physically. And if you're in a challenging position physically, chances are you're in a challenged position mentally, right? And so we went out and laid it on the line, played extremely hard, as somebody in here pointed out, had an opportunity in a really, really tough environment to take the lead in the fourth. Didn't happen. I know ifs and buts, but I was proud of our team. Carried that over to the bye, to the last week when Schultz went up and made that catch. The team was very happy for him, and heck, we got, we played a lot of guys and wanted to play more, and I think, the quarterback position, that's one that's really hard to rotate and get the reps that they all want and deserve. And, Gavin has played so well and done so many good things for us this year in tough spots. And, and Bo, Bo Allen's a guy that can distribute the ball to and play. And, I just love him personally, works hard, is always ready. It's just hard at that position. Quarterback's a unique position, but yet, sometimes, again, you look around the league. I don't have the exact data in front of me. I don't follow every team. If we don't play them, we see crossover. But chances are, a lot of teams in this league have to play two quarterbacks, at some point. You got to get somebody banged up.